Hello, I am Christine Muro, and this video is part of a training I created for new SAP Business One users. Go to my YouTube channel to find all the videos. In this video, you will learn how to modify existing documents such as modify a quantity, change the price, insert lines, or remove lines. Then we're going to see how to cancel a document and how to close a document. And finally, we're going to talk about a tool in SAP Business One for tracking document changes, the change log. So let's get started. So to show you how to modify an existing document, I'm going to open one of the existing sales orders that I have in SAP. So I'm going to navigate to Sales, Sales Order, and I'm going to click on Last Data Record to see the last transaction created. Okay, here we have the sales order. Okay, once I have the sales order, the first thing that I need to validate is that the sales order is open. So you can see here we have the status, and the status is telling me that the order is open. So I am able to do some adjustment. For example, modify the quantity. So if I want to modify the quantity for the line number 2, the only thing that I need to do is click on the quantity and change the quantity. So for example, let's say that I want to change from 1 to 5. So that's the only thing that I need to do. Then what if I want to change the price? Same thing. I click on the unit price and change the price. And now we have the update button here. So to complete the transaction, I just click on update. Okay, now what if I want to add a new item? In the last line, I just need to click and select the new items. So here, for example, I'm going to select again the EBU 200 and hit an update. Because this is a sales order and the sales order doesn't generate journal entries, as long as the sales order is open, I am able to modify most of the fields. For example, I am able to modify the quantity, the prices, the items, the remarks, the sales employee. If I go to the logistics tab, I am able to modify the ship to address, the bill to address, the dates. The only thing that I'm not able to modify is the customer code. But other than that, I am able to modify everything. But again, this is because number 1, the sales order is still open. And number 2, because the sales order is a transaction in SAP that doesn't generate journal entries. So basically, sales orders, purchase orders, sales quotations, purchase quotations, and purchase requests, as long as they are open, I am able to modify everything except the customer code or vendor code. Now, what happens if a transaction is closed? So I'm going to find one of the closed orders. So I'm going to change to find mode. And then on status, I'm going to change to closed and press on find to see one of the existing closed orders. And I'm going to select the first one and I'm going to click on choose. This order is closed because probably the shipping was done or someone closed manually this order. But basically here the status is telling me that the sales order is closed. So you can see when the order is closed, I am not able to add lines. I am not able to modify the quantity or the unit price for the existing items. I am not able to modify the dates, the customers, the totals. So basically the only thing that I am able to modify is sales employee, the owner, the remarks, the customer reference number, the document date. And if I go to the logistics tab, the only thing that I am able to modify basically is the shipping type. In the accounting tab, the only thing that I am able to modify is the payment method, cancellation date, and required date. So once the document is closed or has a follow-up document, like invoices or deliveries, your editing options become more limited. Now, what happened with transactions that create journal entries? For example, an AR invoice, a good receipt PO, an AP invoice. Let's review those. So for example, I'm going to open one of the existing AR invoices and I'm going to click on last data record to see the last transaction created. This AR invoice is already closed because probably we'll receive the payment for this AR invoice. But even if the AR invoice was open, still I'm not able to modify quantities, items, prices, posting date, due date, document totals, because this transaction has a journal entry. So for those transactions where we have journal entries, I am not able to modify them. I am able to cancel them, but I'm not able to modify them. So for example, if I want to change the item number and I try to click on the item number or quantity, SAP doesn't allow me to do any modifications. So the only thing that I am able to modify for transactions that create journal entries basically are customer reference number, document date, sales employee, owner, remarks, and some information in the logistic and accounting tab. Okay, so let's go back to a sales order. And again, I'm going to click on last data record to see the last transaction. So we saw how to modify the quantity, how to modify the price. Additional to that, here I can modify the customer reference number and I click on update. But what if I want to remove one of the lines, one of the items? What do I need to do? If I want to remove line number 2, the only thing that I need to do is right click in line number 2 and select delete row. And now the system removed that line. I'm going to hit an update. Now, what if I want to add a new line? I can do two things. I can just click on the last line and select the item. Or what if I want to add an item between line number 1 and line number 2? What do I need to do? I right click in the line where I want to have the new item and click on add row. And here I can just select the new item. And as you can see, when I right click, I see more options. I am able to delete a row, duplicate a row, add a row, and we are going to talk about this later. Okay, so once we have this one, I'm going to hit an update. And now we're going to talk about the change log. So this order was created by someone in January 23. And today I did a couple of modifications. So what do I need to do to see who did modifications to this document? We're going to use a change log. So in order to see the change log, you're going to go to Tools, Change Log. And the change log will tell me who did the adjustments to this document. This is where SAP keeps an audit trail of any modification made to a document, including who made the change, what they changed, and when it happened. We can see here that the document was created on January 23, and after that, a lot of modifications have been done on this sales order. The document was created by Christina, and Christina did a couple of more modifications. And the last modification was done on February 6th. So if I want to see what are the modifications that were done in the sales order, I can click on one of the lines and click on Show Differences. So if I click on the first line and click on Show Differences, I'm going to maximize the screen. Here you will see all the modifications that have been done. For example, the transaction was created on February 2nd, and if I scroll down, I'm going to see all the modifications. For example, in the last one, I modified the customer reference number. The value was empty, and the value that I changed it to was ABC123. The total document was $10, and then I modified it to 30. For each entry, SAP will show you a comparison of the fields that changed, including the old value and the new value. For example, here, the customer reference number, the old value was empty, and the new value now is ABC123. So I'm going to close it. And another way to see these changes is if I double click in line number 5, for example, I'm going to double click, the system is telling me how the sales order was before that modification. For example, here we don't have the customer reference number, so I'm going to close it. And if I double click in line number 6, now I see the customer reference number ABC123. So the change log is helpful when something looks off in a document and you're trying to understand how it happened. So you can see who did the adjustments, when it happened, and what were the fields that were changed. So the change log will show you the full history. Now, there are a few things to keep in mind. You are able to view the change log, but you cannot edit it. And the ability to see the change log depends on your authorization. So if you don't have authorizations to see the change log, you won't be able to see it. Okay, so now I'm going to close this. Now let's see how to close a sales order. Let's see that you did a partial shipment for this particular sales order and you're not going to do the rest of the shipping. Now you want to close the sales order. How do you do it? Once you are in the sales order, if you right click in this area, in the header area, you're going to see here the option to close. So I'm going to close it and I'm going to receive a warning telling me that once I close the document, this cannot be reversed. And it's asking me if I want to continue. I'm going to click on yes. Now I'm going to go to the last transaction to see the status. Now do you see the status of this order is closed? I'm going to click on previous record to see another open transaction, but now instead of closing it, I'm going to cancel it. So I'm going to right click and select on cancel. And same thing, the system is going to tell me that the cancellation of document cannot be reversed. And if I want to continue, I'm going to click on yes. Now I think it was the 2093, and as you can see here, now the 2093 has a status of cancelled. We have seen how to close or cancel the whole document, such as a sales order, but what if you want to close only one of the lines of the document? So I'm going to show you how to do that. So in order to do that, I'm going to find another sales order. So I'm going to click on the find mode, and I'm going to type the sales order 2091. And here we have 3 lines. So let's see that I want to close only the second line. What do I need to do? I right click in the second line and select close row. And here the system is telling me that once the line is closed, I cannot open it again. And if I want to continue, so I'm going to click on yes and hit an update. Now do you see here, the second line is grayed out. So once it's closed, I'm not able to do any modifications to that line. When I right click and I see the available options, here I have the cancel and close option. But these two options are to close or cancel the whole document. So by line, the only option that I have is delete the row or close the row. Now, talking about closing or canceling the whole document, I want to explain you the differences here. You cancel a document when the document should never have been created. For example, you selected the wrong customer, the wrong vendor, the wrong items, or simply because the customer no longer wants the sales order. So in those cases, you cancel the document. But what happens if when the customer calls you to cancel an order, the shipping was done already? SAP won't allow you to cancel the document. So in that case, you need to close the document instead. So basically, if a document already has a follow-up document, so for example, if a sales order has already a delivery or an invoice, you wouldn't be able to cancel it. So in those cases, you need to close the document. Now let's review another thing about cancellations. I'm going to open the sales order 2093, which is the document that I have canceled. When I cancel a document that doesn't generate journal entries, when I right click and select cancel, the system changed the status from open to cancel. This happened for documents such as a sales order, a purchase order, a sales quotation, a purchase request. But what happens if I want to cancel an AR invoice, for example, because an AR invoice generates a journal entry? For those type of documents, the process is a little bit different. So I'm going to close the sales order and I'm going to open one of the existing AR invoices. So I'm going to go to sales AR invoice and I'm going to click to see the last record. This is closed. So in order to cancel an AR invoice, the invoice needs to be open. So I'm going to click on the navigation errors to find out an AR invoice that is open. And here we have one. Okay, so what if I want to cancel this document? I'm going to right click. And as you can see here, we have the option to cancel. When I click on cancel, I'm going to move this to the right. Basically, SAP is going to generate the reversal transaction. So when you cancel a document, SAP is going to create the cancellation document that will reverse the original document. So here I have the AR invoice 2232, which is the original AR invoice. And when I right click, I'm going to close it to show it again. And when I right click and select cancel, SAP is going to generate the cancellation document, which it means it's going to generate a new document. So here is a 2234. And I'm going to click on add and view. And now we're going to have two documents, the cancellation document. And if I go back to the original AR invoice and I click on refresh, you're going to see that the status has changed to cancel. So again, for transactions that generates journal entries, if you cancel the document, SAP is going to create a cancellation document. And it's going to change the status of the original document. So in this case, we have the new cancellation document, which is the 2234, and the original 2232 has changed the status to canceled. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching.